So during UFC 326, obviously, we got the White House card announced. And, listen, I talk a lot on this channel about disappointment. It is something that comes up a lot these days when referencing the UFC and referencing matchmaking. But you know where my initial disappointment came from with this announcement was that, frankly, I was expecting something like this to happen midway through the broadcast. I thought that would have been hilarious. I would have actually loved that. That would have made this whole thing a whole lot better. Maybe that was a little unrealistic of me to expect, but come on, how funny would that have been? Of course, it didn't happen though. We got a very standardized announcement, and it was bad. 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 The announcement was bad. And it wasn't that the card's not good. It's a great card. It's a great card in comparison to what we've been getting recently. Don't get me wrong, but listen, as somebody who makes content about this sport, I have felt like I've been drowning the past couple months in terms of fight announcements. I feel like I've barely had my head above water, bobbing, gasping for air, because there's been so little fight announcements. And there had been a point for a while now where no UFC champion was booked for a fight. And I kept saying, oh, it's because of the White House card. It's because of the White House card, though. They're just saving it all for the White House card. Don't worry. And we got two title fights, one of which is just a complete wash. One of which is a complete and utter wash. I don't think I'll even be making a video at any point about Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gaethje, because it's just a complete wash. Now, I think word on the street is it was supposed to be Ilia versus Islam, and it seems like maybe Islam backed out last second. That would have been insane. The fact that Ilya's willing to take that fight up at 170 is so fucking cool. That deserves a lot of props. But I'll tell you what, at the very least, Alex Pereira versus Ciryl Gane is a great fight. It is a great fight. I actually am very excited for that fight. It's not Pereira Jones. Obviously, recently on Members Only, we watched Stipe Miocic versus John Jones, the last fight. And oh my God. Pereira was gonna knock out John Jones. He was gonna, and I would have loved to see it. But, man, some of the other matchmaking on that card, the first name that jumped out to me was fucking Michael Chandler versus Mauricio Hufi. Holy hell, that's talk about it's just not competitive in the slightest. What the hell do you expect Michael Chandler to do to Mauricio Hufi? What the hell are we doing? The UFC is trying to get American fighters knocked out on this card, which I don't mind, but I don't know what their thought process is. Maybe it's that Benoit Saint-Denis out-grappled Hufi the last time they fought, so they think Michael Chandler is an interesting little test post the Fiziev fight. Maybe that's their thought process. If it is, it's fucking stupid. If it is, it's stupid. What? Michael Chandler cannot grapple like Benoit Saint-Denis. Michael Chandler is a 100% pure wrestler with no submission game, no back take game, very little ability to grapple on the ground at all. He's old. He's full of mold. He has no distance management. He has no technique to his striking other than winging overhands. It's gonna be a complete wash. Of course, Bo Nickal. Thank fuck we get to watch Bo Nickal fight. Thank God. Bo Nickal, I just can't stand the guy. And I used to be a fan, honestly, as crazy as that might sound. But I mean, dude, it's just you were a U23 world champion wrestler in their prime, but you refused to wrestle a 50-year-old Yoel Romero because he missed weight. I mean, you got Arman Tsarukyan, who frankly never actually wrestled at a super high level. Of course, he's a good wrestler, very good wrestler, but he never wrestled at a really high level, and he's taken on fucking former D1 guys in their prime, putting it on the line against them as a top-ranked UFC fighter, but you won't wrestle a fucking 50-year-old who barely missed weight and cry about it. I mean, I just can't. We get to watch him versus Chris Dawkins. I mean, won't that be fireworks? it was sad not to see Sean O'Malley fight Corey Sandhagen, but I guess the UFC has to go to some pretty extreme lengths to see Americans win on this card. I get it, right? At least Ayman Zahabi is legitimately a top-ranked guy, and I guess I can't be that mad at that. But again, right, Alex Pereira, Ciryl Gane, that's a great fight. That's a great fight. I do genuinely feel like Ciryl Gane is super underrated, and I don't think he deserves a lot of the disrespect he gets. With that being said, he definitely deserves the disrespect when it comes to fucking gouging people's eyeballs, for sure. That warrants disrespect. But it seems like a lot of people do think that he sucks at fighting. Like, it does seem like there's a number of people who just believe that he sucks. I think that the 3.5 minutes we saw of the Tom Aspinall fight has changed some people's minds about that. But again, even going into the Tom Aspinall fight, I knew that he actually stood a very good chance of being a decent challenge to Tom, because he's the only guy that can match Tom's speed, his footwork. I mean, Ciryl Gane is legitimately a generational athlete. I mean, you got this guy fucking doing like windmill dunks. You got, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, he has zero background in martial arts up until he was 22 years old. He picks up Muay Thai. You know what I mean? I mean, how many heavyweights are just flicking high kicks off the back foot? But I think the number one thing, I don't know if it'll really make a difference in this fight, but people think that he can't grapple. I think his grappling sucks. I have a funny little story to share for you. A lot of you guys might not know this, but Ciryl Gane was looked at as a very good grappler up until the Jon Jones fight. I mean, he had multiple wins by submission. He had decent takedowns, which his athleticism definitely helped him. But like specifically, we look at the Francis Ngannou fight, right? He took down Francis Ngannou at one point, just got in on a double leg, turned the corner, took down Ngannou. Daniel Cormier was commentating this fight, and he goes, "Oh, well, great double leg, nice. Ciryl hits the double leg, nice." Fast forward, the Jon Jones fight happens. And Jon Jones just lighter man skills Ciryl Gane, because Ciryl Gane just did not have a great defensive submission game built. You don't really need to at heavyweight. I mean, Fabricio Verdum ain't around anymore, So, and then all of a sudden everybody thinks he can't grapple. Then the Volkov fight happens. He hits a double leg on Volkov, and Daniel Cormier goes, I swear to God, he goes, "What? Ciryl Gane's hitting double legs now? What?" I'm like, motherfucker, you were commentating his last world championship fight where he double-legged Francis Ngannou. But listen, I digress. Point is, I do think he's a little underrated these days. I think he's a very good kickboxer, very good striker. But with that being said, does he have a chance against Alex Pereira? I mean, first and foremost, I think that Alex Pereira, he's not going to be a small heavyweight. He's not. Remember when Jon Jones took 3 years off to bulk up to heavyweight? He came in weighing 247, and he looked fat as fuck. He looked fucking gross. Remember that? Well, Alex Pereira, without any bulking, is 242, and look at him. Like, he has a bit more body fat on him, but, I mean, he looks like a decently sized heavyweight. I don't think he'll be too small out there at all. I think he'll easily be about 245, and I don't think he's going to be sacrificing much speed at all. But, speaking of speed, Ciryl Gane, I think, is the way quicker guy. Ciryl Gane's faster. Ciryl Gane has better footwork for sure. And I'll tell you what, though. Overall, I'll be honest, this is a tough fight for Ciryl for a number of reasons. And I think the number one thing we need to look at is Ciryl Gane's first fight against Alexander Volkov and the second fight against Alexander Volkov. Again, everybody touts that second fight as a horrible robbery, whereas the first fight, Ciryl Gane dominated. I mean, what changed? Well, I hate to sound like a complete broken record here, because I feel like the last couple of fights I broke down also kind of come down to this principle, but Volkov in the first fight against Ciryl Gane 100% fought him at range. They were just at range, at space the entire time. And the problem with that is Ciryl Gane has better footwork, he's quicker, he's faster. His game generally is to stay at space and prod at you from afar, long jabs, leg kicks, teeps. He'll step in for right hands, here or there, but generally he likes to maintain space, and because he has such good footwork, if you fight him at range, especially at heavyweight, he is going to be quicker and faster and lighter than you, and that's going to be a huge problem. I mean, there were moments in that fight, in the first one, where Volkov began pressuring and then would back himself up and then go back to range. And then again, Ciryl is just pot-shotting him from far away because he's so much quicker and so much faster. Volkov just couldn't touch him. What happened in the second fight? Volkov stood his ground and he pressured him. I mean, the biggest shot of that fight happened when Ciryl stepped in with a jab and Volkov did not take a back step. He just right into a spinning back fist, landed it clean. Or right here, he's stepping in with like a 4-punch combination, just pushes Gane back all the way to the fence, ends up landing his last punch. He just stayed in his face. He pressured him. And now all of a sudden, Ciryl Gane's movement and his footwork, him going in and out, him trying to dance around and maintain space, that doesn't exist anymore when you pressure them back up to the fence. It just doesn't. And look, I want to be fair. I actually do think that second fight with Volkov was closer than people give it credit for. But listen, I digress. Doesn't really matter. But point is, you have to pressure Ciryl Gane. You have to. You cannot let him use his superior footwork and speed against you. Now, we look at Alex Pereira's career recently. He made essentially the exact same mistake Volkov did in the first fight against Gane against Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev was the faster, quicker guy than Alex Pereira, who's also a very sharp, accurate boxer. He fought him 100% at range. It was still a razor-close 3-2 fight. It was 3 rounds to 2. Honestly, round 3 could have gone to Alex if he didn't eat this jab last second. But again, right, it was a close fight, but he made that mistake. What changed in the second fight? Pereira went, so the elite aspect of your game is distance management, speed, quickness of the hands. Well, wouldn't it be a shame if someone took that ability of yours and fucking deleted it? And that is why, on top of making Ankalaev switch to southpaw or orthodox with the leg kicks, that he's just able to land here without any worry of Ankalaev slipping, moving out of range, countering. It does not exist when you pressure them like this. And of course, I think a big problem for Gane is he doesn't have a tremendous amount of knockout ability at all. I mean, he's not known for his power. He's not known for stinging guys, which is going to make dealing with Pereira's pressure, a lot harder than, an Ilia Topuria-esque opponent. Now, I do think there is something that I actually really like that Gane does that I think he can use here to potentially negate this. And he was using it very well against Ngannou. When Ngannou would pressure Gane up to the fence, he would essentially duck his head, cover up, and shoot. He wouldn't even shoot to try to hit the takedown. He would just shoot to close distance, run Ngannou back, and then separate. And again, his speed, his athleticism really allowed to do this very well. And obviously, Ngannou did not land a single shot. Of course, dealing with Alex Pereira, I think that, shooting on him is a lot scarier than Ngannou. I think Pereira has way better timing. I think Pereira is quicker. I think that Gane will be faster than Pereira, but Gane is not going to have that same speed advantage he had over Ngannou. I mean, he's not. But still, I think that this actually could be a very competitive fight. But through and through, over 5 rounds, I would understand, when you lay all this out, I understand why some people might have a difficult time, picking Gane to survive all 5 rounds. If Pereira just keeps pressuring him, the leg kicks, of course, should be there. When someone is using a tremendous amount of footwork, the leg kicks are going to be there, especially because Gane is standing super bladed. He does like to stand southpaw sometimes, which would limit the outside calf kick, but Pereira will throw it with the inside leg as well. So I am very excited to see the fight. I think it will be competitive for sure. I do believe overall Gane is a bit underrated, but I just think when you lay all this out, I think you might have to lean Pereira here.